Hey everyone, and welcome to today's tutorial. And what we are looking at today is a database called Isar Database. So let's say you want to persist some data locally on your Flutter apps. You can use Isar DB. And this tutorial is to show you how easy it is to integrate Isar in your applications and some of the features that ISA supports out of the box for you. And you can see over here it also has a database inspector where it will give you some URL where you go to and you see how your database actually look like. And if you check some benchmarks, it sort of gives you an idea how your database is going to perform. So you can go ahead and check it out. And they have a pretty nice documentation here at isar.dev, and you can go ahead and check some of the concepts of ISA. But for this tutorial, we are just going to do some basic stuff. And if you have some time, you can go ahead to look at the docs and get an in-depth understanding of ISA. But for this purpose of this tutorial, we are going to build this app called Book Manager or Bookkeeper. And the idea is to be able to manage your books in your library. So you'll be able to add a book, add a category, add an author, add the ISBN description, and add a book. And when you add a book, it's going to automatically just show you in real time. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to look at the project structure. I already have the UI created, so we are just going to look at how that is set up. And I have a project here called Book Manager. And in this prospect.yaml file, I have nothing here other than I have an icon that comes with Flutter. So nothing really big. But if you look at the live folder, I have a folder called services. This is where I'm going to have the service for Isar. And so I'm going to have Isar underscore service.dart. And then I have a folder called entities. So in these entities, I have assumed the entities of my book manager. So what does a book contain? A book should contain a title, category, author, ISBN description. And for the category, a category should contain the category name. The author should be first name and last name, just basically that. So I have it fleshed out here. So you have book, author, book category, as you have here book, author, and the category. Okay, and then you go to the UI. So this is basically a Flutter desktop app, and from the main.dart, I am linking up the home page. And if you go in there, I have an app bar which has a title Bookkeeper, and then I have a body that takes two expanded widgets, and so that I divide the screen into two, and it's sort of kind of responsive, makes it not totally, but on the side of the left screen, I have a page add book screen, which you are looking at here. And then this one contains the list of books. So as I add a book, it's going to just show up in the book list. And then we go to the add book screen. It's just a form that just takes all of this. And if you see, it takes some form, and then you have a drop down text field here. So when I add a category, it should automatically show as an option in the category, and also the same as the author. And if you want to add a category, if you don't have, and you have it here at category, and you click on it, it's going to pop up a bottom sheet, which I have here. So that is the setup. So you can see we have add author model and add category model. These are models are the same thing as this and as this. So basically it. So the next thing we should do is to define all our entities according to how we have seen it on the UI. And after we've defined that, then we go ahead to write an ISO service that is going to save our entities in the DB. And then next, we are going to inject this service via the constructor through all the screen so that we can access the service in all the screens and be able to see the data and manipulate the data. In this tutorial, we are not going to use any state management, so I'm just going to do basic stuff. All right. So let's set up Isar in our project, and we go over to our pub.dev and look for Isar. And Isar is at version 3.01 right now. So we copy that and paste here and hit save. And then we need to add a couple of dependencies. We already added Isar, and then we need Isar Flutter libs. And we should use the same version as the Isar version. So I'm just going ahead. I'm going to, put that. So we have this. And then if you go to the dev dependency, you should add Isar generator as a dev dependency. We are using version 3.0.12. And then we need build runner, of course, to do our code generation. And we hit that. And this is basically us installing all the dependencies we are going to need. So hopefully we won't have any issue, which is good. We don't seem to have. Let's write the entity for ebook. And this is how it's going to look like. We are going to have a part book.g.dart because it's going to generate a book.g.dart here when we run a build runner. So let's also import Isar, and we have it. And then we create a class called book. We set our ID to auto increment because anytime we add an ID, we don't want to set it manually. And we add the title, we add the ISBN, the description, and then we have the book category. For book category, we are going to set it here later, and then we have the author, which we are going to do. So after doing the author, the book category, and then we import it here, we now be able to run our build runner. So let's write the class for our book category. So we are going to do the same thing, part book underscore category. It has to be the same name of file because it's going to have .g.dart at the end, and we import Isar as well. And the same thing, Isar that auto increment, but this is going to link. There's something called Isar link, so it's going to link this category to a book because a book must have a category. So I'm just going to import the book here, and as you can see, so the next one is to write the entity for an author. So in author.dart, we're going to do almost the same thing. You're going to write part other.g.dart because we have author.dart here. And then we import Isar. We do the same ID to author increment anytime we have a new record. But then it's going to link the author to a book because an author is the creator of a book. So we are going to link it up to a book. Now, when that's done, we can go back to our book.dart and then import all this book category, the book author. So now that we have sorted out the entities, the next thing is to run a build runner so that it's going to generate all the autogen code for us. To autogen the code, we're going to write flutter pop get and flutter pop run, build runner build, delete conflicting outputs. But I like to do a flutter pop get and then flutter pop run this. And you can just do flutter pop run, build runner build, and delete conflicting outputs, but this is better for me, so let's run. And it's going to first do flutter pop get, and then do the magic behind build runner and create some author generated files for us in a bit. And as you can see, it's doing that. And there you go. And if you check here, we have author.g.dart, and a whole lot of methods that we would have access to. And then the same thing for a book category, and the same thing for a book. It comes with a whole lot of extensions and helper methods that we will reduce. Okay, so the next thing to do is to write our Isar service, which we are going to take those entities and we are going to save it into Isar. Let's start creating the service for Isar, and we're going to create a class called Isar service here, and we are just going to do this. We are going to create a late feature of Isar DB, and we are going to make it DB. And then we are going to say open Isar, which is a method. And then open Isar, we are going to check if Isar instance name is empty. If it is, we are going to try to open the schema of the entities we've created. So if you go here, because we have auto-generated all these files, so if you check, you will see that book schema have been created. It's in author.dart, book category schema, also book category, and the book itself. So everything is in here, and then we are good to go. And then we can start putting some layer on this, like when you want to create a book and you want to create an author and create a book category. Now let's create a book, and this is how you create a book. Basically, you create a method that's a feature void because it's going to be async, and then you pass in the book, which is a new book, and then we do final Isar await DB, and you do Isar.write transaction sync, and it's going to be of type int, and then you do Isar.books.put sync new book. That's how to do. And if you want to create a book author, it's basically the same. And let's say we want to create a book category, and it's going to create book category, new book category, same thing. Yeah, it doesn't know what category is, so it's going to, well, just take it like that. Same thing if you want to create author, and it's going to take in an author, new author, Isar.write transaction, Isar.authors, but that put sync new author. So that basically the creation. Now, after you created an author, you want to sort of get the author or a book category. So next we are going to write the method for getting a book, getting our books, getting our authors, and getting all book categories. Now, to get all books, for example, I want to get all book categories. We are, instead of using a feature, which we are going to be using a stream here, because we want an asynchronous data. such that when you save a category, we just want to get it immediately. And we just do this. And what it does is we call in Isar and book categories dot where, and then we watch and we put this boolean fire immediately to be true. Okay, and if you go inside this where, it gives you an idea that you are building some sort of query, and you can build a couple of queries with Isar actually, and we are going to get that in a bit when we are going to get all books. But for now, this is what we are using, and we can do the same thing for getting. For now, let's keep get all books simple, and we can do the same for getting all authors. So the last method we write is the cleanDB, and we are just going to use the method isar.clear to clear off all our DB, which is what we want. The next part is to make Isar service available to every widget that wants it. You can use state management to do that, but this should be a simple tutorial. And so I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to initialize a service here such that I can pass Isar service to every other widgets. And so let's go to book list, and we are going to say Isar service, and we are going to be injecting the service through the constructor. We're going to make it required. Yeah, so that if we go back here and get rid of this const, we can add required argument, and since we have access to Isar service, we are good to go. And this is going to make on page const off. Yeah, so we are going to get rid of this as well. Okay, so this is good. And now we can go to our book list and then be able to use get all books from Isar. Now, the problem is, you remember that in our Isar service, get all books is a stream. So we are going to be using a stream builder here so that we have access to the stream coming from get all books. Using a stream builder, and we can go here and then wrap this with builder. Wrapping it with builder, we can then say stream builder. We are expecting a list of book. The type is going to be a list of book, so we import book here, and it needs a stream of Isar service.get all books. Okay, so a stream builder needs a stream and initial data, and then in the function it needs a context and a list of books. So we are going to be using snapshot here, which is an async snapshot. So sure, we can do something like this. So I'm going to get rid of this, and what this is saying is if the snapshot has data, it's going to return a list builder, else we are going to return a circular progress indicator. Now that we have the stream builder, so if not snapshot that has data, we can do final books snapshot.data, which is what we are going to use, and then we can say if books dot is empty, and we can do something like this. If our books is empty, we are going to return a center. Yeah, that. And oh, okay, that's messed up. So we just make it easy, and we're just going to, yeah, something like this. And we are just going to return a center. So the books are empty. Okay. And if it's not, it's going to return the list builder. And we actually need to replace snapshot.data with .length, and same thing here. And if we restart our application, we should have no books found, meaning that there's no data in our snapshot. Okay. So the next thing is to pass in the service to the add book screen, and then be able to add a book. So let's go back and to the home page. So go to the add book screen, and we are going to do the same thing. We are going to say Isar service, and then we make this required as well, so that it will ask for Isar service here, and we are going to have the same. Good. And then we go to add book here, and then we have access to Isar service, and we can arrange our form to be able to post it here. And at the end of the day, here is what we want to do. We want to be able to use our add dot create book. And creating book, we are going to be passing a new book. So for now, we let's take this one out for now. And because before you create a book, you need to have created an author, and at the same time a category. But we also need the service here, so we can do final Isar service. You see why you need to just have a service locator, so that you won't have to be typing all this. But it's good. It's beyond the scope of this tutorial. So we add. So we have widget.isar service that we have passed here. That's for the category. We are going to do the same thing for author. And we go through all the long process again. Add Isar service, make it required, and then we pass it through the constructor, which and widget.isar service. Okay, so those models now have access to Isar, but so let's go into the category model. And what we want to do here is same thing as this. But here it's going to be create book category. So create book category is taking in a book category. So we can create a new instance of book category here. And we are going to call it book category. So book category has dot title, which we are going to set the test controller to. And then when we want to create a category, we just pass in the category like this, and we are good to go. We already added validations to this form, so everything should be good to go. So what we are doing here is just to validate if the form actually has it's validated basically. And we can do the same thing for the model, and we can have validate. But in the method, what we have is create. Let's get rid of this, and we can do create author, and it's going to take in a book author. But we don't have a class called book author. We actually just have author, so it's going to take in author. And yeah, same thing, we have added that. Okay, good. Now that we are able to add category, so we go back to the add book screen. And once you have added a category, we want to be able to show it almost immediately to the UI. If you go back to this again, once you add a category and you add it to the DB, it pops up and it should show in this dropdown. Okay, so we are going to do that now. And that means we are going to be using a stream builder here to listen to the stream of get categories. And the same thing for get author as well, stream builder. To show the list of the drop down for course category, I'm going to first set an empty book category here at the top. Book category, selected book category, because that's where the selected book category will go. And then for the stream builder, it's going to be a type of list of book category. And the stream is going to use the get or book category stream from Isar service. And I say when snapshot.data, the has data, I'm going to just map the data to a drop-down menu item. And finally, I'm going to return a drop-down button from feed that is of type book category. And it's going to take my item, which are the categories, which are a list of drop-down menu item here. And yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do. And then we can do the same for the author as well. Basically the same logic. And basically what it just do is the type is going to be different. Doing the same thing for author, at the top here, we go ahead and do selected author. We make it nullable like we did for the book category. And then we come down here and we put the same stream builder that we used, but this time around the type is a list of author. And then we have get authors, same thing, no difference. And we are good to go. Okay, so anytime we save an author, and the same as a category is going to show on the dropdown. So let's sort of test that out now. So I'm going to restart and we test it out. Yeah, on the application now, so let's add a new category and let's call it horror and add category. And if you see, you have horror as the category here. Let's add an author and say Conan Doyle, which is an author, and add. If you check here, see we have Conan Doyle already. And let's add another category, fantasy, and you see we have horror fantasy. Let's add another category, and let's say Sherlock Holmes. Is it really an author? I don't know, but I don't think it is. Okay, so we have it set up. So the next part is when I want to add a book, take in a book, select the category, the ISBN, and the description. And when I click on add a book, it should show here. Now to modify this a bit, you go down and we can go here to the create book. And create book is going to take in a new book. So we can do final book and book actually. And then we can start to do stuff like this. It's going to take in the title, ISBN description, like we have. Then we need to take care of the category. Well, how do we do that? We just do category dot. It's called book category actually. The value equals to the selected book that we have here. And then we can do the same thing for author, the value, selected author. Now we have a book, and then we can pass in the book here, create book. And when we do that, we are going to be having, we'll be able to create a book. So let's try, and let's call the book of Memoirs of Timmy. Which category? Fantasy, Conan Doyle, ISBN, let's put anything. This is a really good book. And let's click on add book. Okay, so we have it here. Let's add another book. Fundamentals of Flutter. Is this a, I don't know, fantasy? Who is the author? Sherlock Holmes. A really good book. And we have it here. So, as it is, our application is working. We have Memoir of Temi, Fundamental of Flutter. Let's see if we can get some more information on this list of books. So we go to book lists, and if we do a subtitle, and we do books the index.isbn, it's going to show us the ISBN of this, and there are some weird issue when I save, so you can see it is there. But what I want to really do, and let me toggle out the uncut exceptions. What I really want to do is to just show the name of the author. So I want to do something like this. Okay, so I'm using string interpolation. So I'm taking books, the author. This should be dot value, and then it's nullable. Yes. And when I do like this and I restart, I should be able to see the author, which is good. Okay. And now the next thing is to look a little bit at the query, and then I'm going to talk about it, and then you will be able to implement it, because I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. So we have a method for this delete, so I expect that you can do that. So let's take it as an assignment for you. We have a method to clear DB. So when I click on here, it should clear all this data here. So now I'm going to talk about this query a bit, and then I'm going to close this video, because I want you to go ahead and implement this and then the search. Okay, so if you go into Isar sort of has a way for you to query database. So the idea is, as you type this, it should be able to query based on what you type. And that is the end of today's video. And in featured videos, we are going to be implementing the search, where we will go deep into Isar queries and how you can sort of query the data that you have in your Isar. Another thing I want to point out is you can actually see your database on Isar using the Isar inspector, and once you have Isar installed in your application, you will see this little link here that if you click, you'll be able to see your data. And this is the data on our DB. You can see all our book categories, our author, everything is in here. You can see our book category, add links to a book, and our author as well. So thank you for watching this tutorial, and catch you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you have gained some knowledge. See you in the next one. Peace out.